and recording. All right, my name is Stuart Sutton. I'm the president of Full Circle TMS, and today we're going to go and do a deep dive of order entry and dispatch. And this is going to be an extension of the webinar that I did yesterday. Some of the folks on the call today were on the webinar yesterday, some are not, but you can always go online and look at yesterday's webinar. So the process, what we're going to go through today, we've already, I'm not going to go back and look at the customer data, but you'll store a bunch of data about a customer when you take an order that gets dropped into the order. And now we're going to go more deep dive into orders and dispatching and how the events occur and how it flows information back up to the customer as you do the events, arrive, load, arrive, empty, check calls, paperwork, check-in, etc. So we're going to jump right into the screens. And I'm going to start by going to orders. So for those of you who have not seen any of the software so far, I'm going to ask that you watch the navigation videos. I'm not going to go through navigation anymore. I'm going to go start at orders and actually just the orders grid. And when I look at the grid, you can customize this grid any way you want. So the way I've set mine up, I've got the order number and information about the order, what I'm charging my customer, the main reference number, the status of the order, who my bill to is, my pickup and delivery dates and times, my first pickup stop. I've taken the last stop off, my distance, the vehicle class I'm using, stops, count, load, note count, alerts, and number of moves. And you can add and remove whatever you want to this screen. There is a ton of data that you can have showing or not showing on the screen. So for example, if I don't want to see the bill to, which I happen to have right about, it's just behind that screen, but it's over here, I could just remove it from the screen. So when I go and look at a customer's site and I sign in as a customer user, everybody sets it up the way they want it. Not only that, you can pick and choose how you want the data to apply on the particular screen, and you can sort by that, sort by order number. So I'm not going to go through a lot of the navigation stuff. I've done that on other webinars. So please watch the other webinars or watch the training videos on navigation. So I want to talk about the order screen first. So I've got this grid here of orders, and some of the navigation things I did not talk about is the mouse over. So when you're looking at an order screen, if you mouse over some of the fields, it will give you additional information. So for example, when I mouse over the first stop, it shows me the address, the time zone, the phone numbers, and if I've stored the hours of operation with the customer record, it will show that as well. So I can see if I'm going to this location that their hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 5. Whenever you look at a date and time, we will show you, when you mouse over it, the local time. So everything you see in terms of dates and times will be in your time zone. In the case where I am, I'm now in Eastern Time, and my time zone is always shown as the user down in the bottom next to my username. So I'm showing everything in Eastern Time. Whenever you sign in, so for example, Dave in Wisconsin, you would sign in, you're in Central Time. Everything you see would be in Central Time, and when you mouse over, it will show the local date and time of the pickup. The distance, you see it in yellow here. There's a setting in the system that says, hey, if the miles are more than this, make it highlighted. And that's often an indicator that you may have to cross-dock the freight because it can't be done by a single driver. So that's why you have that highlighted. Vehicle class, stops, notes. And in notes, I can drill into this and add and modify notes, alerts, and moves. I'm going to talk about alerts later on when we get into dispatching. Now, there's a lot of functionality that's built into the gear. So if I look at the gear functionality, for example, I could do find vehicle. And what the find vehicle is going to do is going to pop open a screen, look at the first pickup, and then go and do a truck search to say, do I have any trucks within that area? So it's opening up the vehicle search that I normally would have gone into network to do. Do I have any trucks there? And it's searching my fleet. I can also search all fleets, which is everyone else in Full Circle, and see if they have any truck nearby. And I'm doing a 50-mile search, maybe make this a 100-mile search and do search all fleets. Now this is for people who are sharing with me, so maybe not everybody's sharing with me. So I can see the companies that have a truck, in this case within 100 miles of the pickup. The external fleet, for those of you who have Selectus, there's an API that Selectus provides that allows people to get truck lists. So if you have Selectus and you want to track, or you want to do a truck search of Selectus trucks, you click on that. It would use the sharing rules within Selectus and show you the available trucks that are within Selectus within that range as well. So by default, it'll search your fleet. You can search all fleets, or you can search the external fleet that's provided through the API by Selectus. You can also put a map on so you can see where the trucks are, with regards to your location that you're trying to search for. And there's 4 trucks there, and as you drill in, you'd be able to narrow out where those actual trucks are. So that's the truck search feature. You can post the order to the network. So instead of having to go into the order and post it, I can do it this way. I can add it to an existing manifest. I'm going to do that later on. I can dispatch from the gear. I can change the status of the gear. I forgot to mention about status. I've got 3 statuses showing here. A status of available, which means it's ready to dispatch. A draft status, meaning it's not ready to dispatch. I can go in and update the order and do all sorts of stuff with the order, and I'm not going to log any of the changes. Once I've moved it from draft to available, any change I make to the order, I log it and tell you what the old value was and what the new value was. Progressing means that at least one part of the order has been either planned or dispatched. So it's in the process of moving somehow. So for example, I'll know that this one is planned and this one is auto-dispatched. This is planned auto-dispatch. I just know by the settings. I forgot to mention over here, if I see a plus sign, that means this order's been cross-stocked. If I click on that, I'll see the 2 cross-stocks. There's 2 pieces of the cross-stock, so the first piece and the second piece. I'm picking up the customer going to a cross-stock location at C&M, cross-stock, and then somebody's going to pick it up at C&M and deliver it to the consignee. And I can see that this one's planned and this one's planned held. H means planned held. And we're going to go through that a bit when I do a dispatch. So going back to the gear functions, we'll talk about them. Documents. So I'm looking at a draft one. Let me look at one. So documents allows me to view any existing documents associated with the order, or upload any documents. Now, when the order is not yet dispatched, and let's say that you've got a lot of information that's come from your customer that you have in an email. You may have an email thread. You've been bidding on a load and back and forth, and you've got this email thread. You can take that email and save it as a document and upload it into the documents for the order. So that's a good way to do it. You just go into Documents, open that up, and there's no upload document function here. We'll have to fix that. There may be an upload document. No, I guess not. Well, if you went into the order, you could upload a document. The order summary is everything you know about the order, and it will change as the order progresses. In the actual order, there's really not a lot of, it's pretty static, but once the trip is ongoing and you're doing arrive, load, arrive, empty, it'll have the latest information about the order. The rate confirmation, you can download that, and you can also email the rate confirmation from here to your customer. You can email the bill of lading. Copy the order. This is a neat function. So if I'm doing the same order, I go in and click copy. Now let me actually take this one that's cross-stocked. I can take an order that is cross-stocked and do the copy order function. And it says, when do you want the next order to start? So this is an order that's going 3/27 at 8 a.m. Well, let's say it's Monday at 11 a.m. So M blank 11, for those of you who were here yesterday, you know the shortcuts. So Monday at 11 o'clock is the start of the new order. And what it'll do is take that 11 o'clock, look at all the other stops on the order, and adjust them accordingly so that their dates and times are automatically adjusted. I just have to adjust the very first pickup. All the rest of the date times will be adjusted accordingly when I create the order. There's the old reference number. I can put a new one in if I want. So I could put this as B, as another order number. Do I want to copy the revenue? Yes or no? I can copy the revenue. Do I want to copy just the order, or do I want to copy the order plus the cross-stock? So I could do both, and it says, you know what, copy the order and the cross-stock, because I do this order every week, and I always cross-stock it. In this case, it's C&M. So I copy the whole thing. And then do I want to copy all the notes? And when I click copy, it goes and does that for me. So I don't have to go and manually create that order, and I now have a brand new order from 12/38 called 12/40, and the pickup, instead of being Friday at 8 a.m., it's Monday at 11, and if I look at it, it's created my cross-stocks for me as well, and the cross-stock occurs at C&M. So it's a very quick way for me to take an order that I run on a regular basis and copy it. By the way, if you run orders on a regular basis and they are scheduled, you can actually create a master order, create a schedule against that, and then you can have the system automatically generate that order for you and put it in the order system. I have quite a few people that do that already. All right, so let's go back and look at the other options of an order. So we looked at the copy. Oh, refreshing there. That was the copy order. Create a return order. So let's say, hey, I'm doing this order, but the customer says, hey, once it's done, keep your truck there because I want. They're just doing something to the freight. They're going to do a value add, and then we're going to bring it back. So the create return order, all it does is it says, well, when is this going to happen? So I'll get a new pickup date, and I'll say Monday at 9 a.m. We're going to be ready to come back. And I may put a new reference number that's got the return. Want to copy the rate, yes or no? And I've got all these notes. Do I want to copy the notes? So I'll just remove all the notes. And then I create the return order. I can create the return order or the return order and edit. And all it does is it reverses the pickup and drops. So if I had 3 pickups and 2 drops, it would reverse the pickup and drops and reverse the dates and times. It would take that very first date and time and it automatically adjust all the other dates and times accordingly. So now I've got this return run that I've created, order number 1241. So that's how you create a return order very quickly. Change the scheduled dates and times. So let's say I put this order in and it's picking up, this one says the 26th at 2200. And I go, oh, that's the wrong date and time. I should have been the 27th at 2200. Well, I could go in and change each date and time in the order, but the scheduled dates and times lets me do it a real quick way. I can just say, well, that should have been 3-27 at 2200. And it'll automatically adjust the original pickup date and time, and then all the other dates and times will automatically get adjusted accordingly. And then I just save that, and now that's a quick way to update the dates and times on an existing order by moving the first date and time out. That's changing the scheduled dates and times. Canceling the order, customer calls in and says, hey, we're not going to do it. I go and click cancel the order. I pick a reason why we're canceling it. And it's good that you do this because there's management reports so the managers can see why did these shipments get canceled. Too much money, whatever. Now, this list of reasons is completely configurable by you. So if you want a new reason, there's a way to do it, and it's all controlled by you. If you want to get rid of some of these, you can take them off the list as well. So that's how you cancel an order. And then a work refusal. So let's say you offer this to a driver, and they go, no, I'm not doing it. Well, you can create a work refusal, and from here you can pick the driver who said, no, they're not going to do it. And then you can put in what the empty distance might have been and then pay, perhaps how much pay, and then why did they refuse to do it? They won't go there. They don't want to cross the border, blah, blah, blah. Again, this list of drop-down here is completely configurable by you. So you can keep track of when your drivers refuse to do work. And when, so let's say a driver comes in and says, hey, I'm not making enough money, I'm leaving you, I'm going to another carrier. And you'll say, why? And they'll say, I'm not making enough money. Well, you can go in and look at how many times they refused to do work, as well as, how many orders they did do, as well as their in and out of service history. And you can say whether they had a valid complaint or not. So there's a lot of functionality in the gear functions. Make sure you learn all the gear functions because it'll save you a lot of time without having to drill into the order. Now, when you're dispatching, I'm going to go next to the before I go to that, at the top you've got a bunch of filters, and these are little quick filters. You can hide the filters by clicking that little triangle right there to hide the filters. And these are just quick filters. There's also advanced filters. So let's say I want to look at all the times, if I click on advanced, come on advanced, I'll go over here, my screen suddenly froze on me. If I click on advanced, it should open up the advanced filters. There they come. Oh, then I click simple. It's probably going to jump back to simple. But here's the ability, yeah, it jumped back to simple. Click advanced again. So here's the ability for me to go and look at historical loads if I want to. By default, I'm going to look at what's called unattended, and that's anything that's in draft status, will call, auto-submitted, available, or progressing. Active loads is anything that's on the go. Complete loads are done loads. Billable loads, all loads, or the templates. I can look by date range. I can look at city, state, zip, pickup, and deliveries by customer. There's all sorts of ways I can look at historical and look up historical data. So if your customer calls in and said, hey, you did a load for me last week, what was the bill lading number? Well, you can go in here and you can search for that customer, pull up the orders, drill into the order, or look at the trip summary and get the data. So that's the quick and the simple order options, search options. So uh, I'm going to kind of jump down into the, well, let me expand. This arrow down here will let you expand and collapse this menu system. You create orders. You can also plan orders. So I've got a couple orders planned. Here, plus this, these ones are planned as well. So if I click on planning, I'll see all the orders that are planned right now. They're planned, planned auto dispatch, planned, and planned held. Planned auto dispatch means the truck is already on an active load. When that truck empties, this load will automatically be dispatched out to the truck based on how I've defined it. So that one, as soon as that truck empties, this load will automatically be dispatched out to them. The driver via Circle Mobile will also be able to see all the planned loads. So if they're look at their Circle Mobile and they go to the history option on the Circle Mobile, so let me just take you to that. If I go to Circle Mobile, open up my Circle Mobile, down at the bottom of Circle Mobile, there's a menu option called Workload. If I click on Workload, I can see all the orders that I've done and if there's anything planned for me to do as well. So right now I don't see any planned loads for this particular truck. So that's, again, that's the workload history. So that's the planning. When I go to dispatch, the dispatch grid, now by default, the dispatch grid will not show the orders at the bottom of the screen. That's a setting that's in your user profile. So a lot of you will want to turn that on. You reach out to me and I'll show you how to get that done. I'm not going to show you right now. So at the top of the screen will be everything that's on the go, and at the bottom of the screen will be anything that's waiting to get dispatched or planned. Now, this screen will look exactly like how you've got it laid out in the orders grid. We just have the same column layout, widths, all that kind of stuff is set up exactly how you've got it set up on orders. It's just replicated here. At the top of the screen will be all the things that are dispatched. So let's say that I want to plan this order right here that's not yet planned. I click on the gear and I go to dispatch the order. And I find the truck that I want to dispatch it to. So let's say it's this one. Brings up the truck and driver data. And instead of dispatching it, I'm going to click the word plan. And I've got three options. Plan means I'm planning it. Plan hold means I plan it, but don't dispatch it until we release the hold because maybe I'm not going to use that truck. And the plan auto dispatch says the truck's probably already in a load, so the next time they empty, they'll automatically get this load dispatched out to them. So I'm just going to do a plan function. And I'm going to click yes there to go to, yeah, I probably did plan and add to another. Let me go back and do this again. I probably did an add. So I should have, let me just go back and dispatch, let's dispatch this one. And I will pick this truck and plan on that truck. And now it's planned to the truck. When I go back to the orders grid, I'll see this got the letter P beside it for planned. So when you look at something that is planned, it'll have the manifest, it'll have the unit number, and then it'll have P for planned, H for held, A for auto dispatch. All right. So let's go back to the dispatch function now. Let's look at the dispatch grid. In the dispatch grid, yesterday I showed people how to dispatch. I'm not going to go through how to dispatch. This is it's already dispatched. So let's talk about the functions that are available. When I look at the actual asset that's dispatched, it's either on a truck or it's brokered out. If I click on the truck name, it's going to bring up the information about the truck and the driver. If you store the truck picture, the truck picture will appear beside that. It'll have all the information about the truck, the payload, the capacity, etc. All the compliance data about the truck, and if it's out of compliance, it'll be in red. Then you'll see the driver profile plus the driver profile picture. and their email, etc., and then any compliance data as well. So there's a lot of information about the truck and driver right there. If you want to find driver phone numbers, all the phone numbers should be here somewhere. There's a cell number. There's only one phone number associated with this driver. There's up to 5 or 6 phone number fields in the driver profile. This one only has one in it. So that's the truck and the driver. So the little A beside that says that there's a load that's auto-dispatched to this truck. So that when this truck is done, that A tells me that there's another load waiting for that driver. When I broker it out, the company that it's brokered to will have some information about that. Now, if we've got the driver phone number and name and the cell number and the trailer and truck, it'll appear in the mouse over. And when I drill into that, oh, this is a test vehicle. That's our Apple test vehicle. So this is where you can keep the truck, dispatch vehicle and trailer and carrier phone number, etc. I'm going to talk about that in a bit when we do carrier reconfirmation. So that's who's doing it. Right beside that will be like a summary of the manifest that the driver will be doing. And it's like the dispatch instructions, just shows the pickup and deliveries and any special instructions. So that's just a summary document that you can email or send to your driver. I'm going to show you how to do that in a bit. Right next to that is the pay, and you can drill into the pay to set up the pay. I'm not going to go through pay at this time, but it's just a matter of what does the driver get paid. We can auto-rate the driver pay, so if you have the auto-rate set up in the system, once you dispatch, it'll automatically calculate the expected pay, and you can always go in and modify the pay just by drilling into that. The way I've got mine set up, I've got the manifest is the next thing I look at. The manifest is what the truck is doing, and so there could be one order on the manifest, a one-to-one relationship between order and manifest. There can be multiple orders. So, for example, I can tell by that number 3 that this truck has three orders on it. It could be a portion of a manifest or a cross-dock, a portion of an order. So it may have a full order, a portion of an order, multiple orders, multiple portions of orders. So the manifest is what the driver is going to do. I'm going to drill into the manifest later on and show you all the different things you can do with the manifest. The status tells me what's the status of this particular truck right now. When I see a clock, that means it's arrived, waiting to do something, in this case the pickup. When it's en route, you'll have an icon of a truck. Blue means it's on the way to the pickup. Black means it's on the way to a delivery. In this case, there's 4 of 7 stops here. And you can also, if I toggle the legend up here, it'll tell me all the different things for that stop status, what the colors represent. So once they've arrived, it'll stay green until 45 minutes when it turns yellow, saying, hey, why haven't they loaded or empty? And it'll turn red after an hour saying, why have they not loaded or empty? Then you have the order number. I forgot to mention when I was looking at orders, you can color code your orders based on business unit. So I have a trucking division and a logistics division. So my trucking division is blue, my logistics division is purple. So I'll know which division, with business unit, the orders are associated with. And I can drill into the order from this grid without having to go back to the order screen. I can go right into the order from here. The little icon beside the order is the order summary. So for example, if I clicked on the order summary for this one, it will give me the particular order, the most active order, and show me the pickup and delivery, my in and out date times that they've occurred, any wait times that have occurred between my in and out times. I haven't gone to the consignee yet, so that's blank. I'll see all sorts of notes and events that have occurred and all the alerts that have occurred. So it's a quick way to see everything that's happened to an individual order. And that's right beside the order number. So let's say, for example, the customer calls in and they say, hey, you're doing order number 1232 for me. What's the pickup date and time? Well, you can just drill in from here and see all the details. If it had arrived already, they may say, what's the bill lading number? Drill right into that and see the bill lading number. Right next to that is the number of order notes. So it'll give you a number. And again, these are the ones that I put on my trip summary. On my dispatch grid, you may have them in a different order, and you may not even have notes there. But I can drill into notes. I can read all the order notes. and I can add and remove notes. For those of you who I know, Ryan, you use the trip turnover notes. Just remember that you can create turnover notes, shift turnover notes. That would, if I create a shift turnover note, and add that note, anybody who's, it won't show up for me, but that note would actually be purple. I created the note, but now that note box would turn purple for everybody else signed in to my account. And that tells them there's a shift turnover note, and I've got to go in and actually read that note and acknowledge I've read it before that will not turn purple anymore. It's a great way for you to exchange information that's important that goes from shift to shift. Right next to that are the alerts. What has happened with this order that needs my attention? That'll be blue if there's outstanding alerts. And the first number will tell you how many alerts had not been acknowledged, and the last number will be how many total alerts are there on the order. So this could be a piece or weight variance after they've loaded. It could be the driver arrived so far away, or it could be a driver submitted a note by mobile app. And you just have to click on that. It'll open up the alerts for that one particular order, and you can see what the alert was, and then you can resolve the alert. Now, at the very top of your screen will be a red number by the bell. That'll tell you how many total alerts are out there. So you can go in and look at the alerts on the alerts grid by just going over here and clicking on alerts. I'm not going to go to the alerts grid right now, but you could see all the open alerts in one spot. And this is to look at the alerts on an individual order-by-order basis. Then I've got my next stop. And again, when I mouse over it, it's going to give me information about that next stop, where the truck currently is, and this is the last known position. It's going to have the location, city, state, date and time, when the last location came in. The A behind the date and time tells me whether it's an automatic check call, which means it was done by Circle Mobile or Big Road or some other automated way of us getting a check call. And if it's M, it means it's a manual check call. So some dispatcher did the manual check call. The little circle M tells me that that is being tracked by Circle Mobile. Now, Circle Mobile was just released this week for outside carriers. So had I set it up for the outside carrier like this 10-4 Express, I could have had a Circle M on that one had I dispatched it to a mobile device. The scheduled date and time tells you when the truck is supposed to be there. And again, it'll give you everything in your time and local times. And then the ETA is going to take a look at where the truck is, where it's supposed to be next, how many miles it's away, and calculate an ETA to tell you if it's going to be on time or not. And it'll be red if it's going to be late. And it'll be yellow if it's going to be close to, I can't remember exactly. I'll have to remember what yellow means. Right next to that tells you how many miles the truck is away to the next stop, how many minutes it'll take them to get there, and if they're going to be late, how many minutes late they are. So, for example, this one is already late, but it's 990. It's going to be 990 minutes late. The next column tells you how fast they were, what the speed is we're using for the truck, and then how fast the truck must still go to make the pickup or delivery. Now, what's not on this screen that I really recommend everybody put on here is what's called the critical note. So I'm going to go to Hide Show, and I'm going to go with the critical note icon only and add that into the grid. There's all sorts of other things you can add or remove, hours of service, the build to name, service teams, etc. But it's going to be up to you what you want to put on the grid. Now that critical note icon has been added, and it was added way over here on the left. And what this critical note icon does, I'm going to move it over here a little more central, is that if you have a critical note, let's say, hey, this is a really hot load, watch out for this thing. I can go in and create a critical note, and stuck in traffic, say. Will let us know when back to normal. Click OK. What's going to happen is that's going to turn red. And when I mouse over, it's going to show me who created the note and what the note says. So it's a great way to communicate with everybody of some critical shipment. Now, don't overuse this. Don't be the wolf crying, somebody crying wolf. Don't overuse this because you don't want all of them being red. This is a critical note of something that you want dispatchers to be very, very cautious of and watch for. Another thing I showed yesterday I want to go over again today. let's say that this is a critical note and I want to get notified. It's on the way to the pickup. I want to get notified when the pickup happens, but I'm going home. So I want to get a text message when the pickup happens. I drill into the order. I go up to Actions, and I go down to this Custom Order Alerts. And I create a brand new Custom Order Alert. And I want to send it to my cell. Well, my cell phone is stored in my user profile that I've signed in with. So if I click on my cell, it's going to grab my cell number from my user profile, put it up here and say text, and I'm going to say, let me know when they've arrived at the pickup, and save that. And that's going to create an alert that will come to my cell phone when we actually do the arrival. So for you dispatchers that are on the phone, you know these scenarios where you've got a really hot load, but you're going home or there's something happening and you want to make sure you get notified. Maybe it's going to happen during your shift, but you know if you get a text message, you'll be alerted right away when that occurs. Now remember, if this driver is doing something, so this is order 1233. If your driver is doing something via the Circle Mobile, and that's the case, this one is Circle Mobile. So let me pull that over. They've arrived. Well, that was already done, the arrival at the pickup, so it's already too late to do that. I'm going to go back in and do the loaded event as an alert. So I'll create a custom order alert, and again, me, and this time loaded at pickup, and save that. And now I go back into dispatch, and I go back and pull up the order that I'm actually doing right now. And I drill into the load event. I'm going to do a load event. And I've already got the reference number there, so I'm going to say I picked up 5 pieces and 500 pounds. So I got the right stuff, not 5,000. And I confirm loaded. Now what's going to happen, it's going to update the load, and then it's going to send me a text message that occurred. So I just received the text message that occurred. So me as a dispatcher now, I've set that, I've set myself up to get an automatic notification on the cell phone. So the driver doing the event has done the event, and now I've got that text message. So dispatchers, that's one way to do it for yourself. You can also set up your customers, the one-off kind of stuff that, hey, this order, so-and-so has to know about that order. I'm going to now go to the functions you have available to you in the gear options. So in the gear options, I can do the manual events. So the next event I could do arrive, or if the driver, say the driver did the load event and they didn't really load, they did it by mistake, I can undo that. So I can do the next event or undo the previous event and work my way backwards. There's also the function to do multi-events. So I see this more in the truckload world where a driver does something and doesn't update the order, and then you come in the morning and, hey, everything's done. Going into multi-event allows you to do everything at once, check them all off, and put the dates and times in and do everything at once without having to do one at a time. So that's the multi-event. Positions is the same as drilling into the actual position. You can see the position history. Tracking devices. This tells you information about the tracking devices. So I can tell that this phone is it's my iPhone, the version of that phone, the operating system version, who my carrier is, whether I've got location services turned on. So this is very important. If they have location services turned off, that says no. That means you can't track them. They have their phone set, so you can't track them. And it should always be that you can track them so that even if the app is not active on the phone, it's always going to track them. So if you see this as no, or you see this as only when the app is open, that means you're probably not going to track them. If they want to send their paperwork, can they get access to the camera or not? That should be yes. And then some other settings. So when someone's not tracking properly, the first thing you do is go into here and go open up the tracking devices and make sure that they've got those settings properly established. Snoozing the check call warnings. This is a very interesting one. So I've got a driver that has gone down for sleep, and my screen will turn yellow after an hour if I haven't got a check call. Well, if the driver's gone down for sleep, I don't want my screen turning yellow. So what I can do is drill into here, and I can snooze my check call warnings. And I'll say snooze them until Friday morning at 8 because he's going to sleep until tomorrow morning at 8, and just save that. Now when I go back to my grid, that's no longer going to be yellow. It's going to be purple. And right away I know that I've snoozed it. And when I mouse over it, it'll show me in the mouse over right at the bottom of the box there, the check call warning is snoozed until tomorrow morning at 8, and my check call warnings happen after 57 minutes. So it's a great way for me to know, hey, don't worry about the yellow. I know I haven't got a recent check call, but they're gone down for sleep or they're going home and nothing. I don't have to do anything until Monday morning or tomorrow morning. So that's the whole idea of snoozing the check calls. And once the snooze is over, you can also go back in there and take the snooze off. Adding a movement to a manifest. There's many ways that you can add another load to an existing truck. So I'm going to work with this one up here where I'm going to add a move to the manifest. I can either go into the gear and use the add move to the manifest, or I could go down to the order and I can take an order and add that to an existing manifest. So let's take this one here, and I'm going to dispatch it. Oh, my screen's refreshing here. I can also dispatch this order. Oh, it's a draft status. That's why I can't dispatch it. Except that's available, and then I'll be able to dispatch it. And I'm going to dispatch the order. Except I can't remember which one it should be on. Sorry about that. I'm going to go back and do it the other way. I will. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to take order 1234 and add it to this. So I will add a move to the manifest. And I'll take 1, 2, 3, 4. That one there. Use the selected. And what it does is it opens up my existing manifest and it puts the stops in an asterisk format based on date and time. It's going to kind of sort it by date and time. Now from here, I've got a bunch of stops that are already done. When they say departed, they're already done. So these are all the stops of all the orders that I've got on the existing manifest. So I've got 3 orders existing on the manifest. I'm adding a new order. Now, if I want to resequence these, all I have to do is drag that whenever I see a cross and drag it any way I want, and it'll move the pickups, the drops, any way I want. The only thing I cannot do is take a delivery and move it prior to the corresponding pickup. So if I try to move this up here, it's going to give me an error message that I can't move the delivery prior to the pickup. So I have to make sure that that delivery is after the pickup. And then I'm good. So once I've sequenced the stops the way I want them, I can accept the manifest changes. And now I've added that existing order to an existing manifest, and now manifest now has 4 orders on it. I can also remove orders from the manifest as well by clicking on that and going. I'll show you that a little later on. So let's continue on with the gear options that we had. So I showed you how to add a movement to the manifest. The manifest rate's going to take me right into rating the manifest. Another way of doing that is just click on the $ right there. Request driver position. So if the truck is tracked by Circle Mobile, for example, the last update I've got is 1435, and right now it's 1440. I can click on the gear and say request position and close. And when I refresh here, I should get a new position. There it is at 1440. So I've got a new position right now at 1440. So that's one way to get a check call update, a position update. View the documents. So any documents associated with the order, I can see them. I can offer the load to the driver. This makes the driver push a button on the cell phone to say he's seen it. I can look at the dispatch instructions the driver would get. I can email the dispatch instructions to a driver, and I'll see the driver's. It'll show the driver's email address, and I can send that to the driver. And I can go in to look at the alerts, although it's easy to drill in that way. I can email the bill of lading to a customer. I can email something to the driver, and I can use what's called a WAP email and send an email to the driver, which is more like a short text. Now that's if it's a driver. It's an outside carrier. Here's an interesting thing, is that if you store all the carrier contacts with the carrier, there's a neat feature in here that says email the carrier contacts. When I click on that, it's going to go to the carrier database, find all the contacts there, list them for you with the name, title, email, phone, and cell number, whether they have access to carrier view, and whether they can see posted loads or not. And I can copy all those email addresses to my clipboard and then go into my email service and paste them there. That's one way to do it. Before I leave here, though, I want to say, you know what? If you keep their cell number, it's displayable here. So if you're at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're trying to find out where is that truck, you have access to people's cell numbers. So you can call them at 2 o'clock in the morning. Likewise, you can email them. Now, if I click this email selected, so let's say I want to email just those two people or these people, and I say email selected, it opens up my email client on my screen. I've got several, and it pre-fills the email with all the people I said I want to send this to, and it pre-fills the title. It says, hey, please send us an order update. Here's our order number and our manifest number. Here's our order number and manifest number, and if we had their order number, etc., we'd actually put it on the email as well. And it'll say, hey, the last note of your vehicle is here. We would like you to provide, and all you have to do is say, well, I want to know we're waiting for the next event. I need a new check call. Send us paperwork. So you can put whatever you want. You can delete this, type in whatever you want. Current status of the order, and don't forget you can update by going to Care Review, sign in, and update. So we've saved you a lot of time of having to format an email to send out to somebody. You just have to go in here and modify it and send it, and boom. You can pick all the people you want to send it to and send that out to your carrier contacts associated with that carrier. So, for example, hey, this check call's overdue. Well, I'd go in here. I would email the carrier contacts, select them all, email them, and quickly to do this, I would just take out that line and this line and just say, we need you to send us a new check call of where your truck is. And then I click send, and it's gone. So very quick way to do it. So for those of you that are on my presentation on Monday and Tuesday, you saw me, I thought about carrier view. Keep track of all your carriers in your carrier contact database. I can view the broker agreement, the email of the broker agreement. Let's go through this. So once you've got the order dispatch, you can email the broker agreement. And so I would open up the screen. It's going to show me all the people that are in the carrier contacts. So I'm going to email it to a couple people. And then I can send myself a copy, and I'll give them a note, please complete. So I'm emailing this to my outside carrier that is doing a load for me. I brokered them a load. And I'll show you the email once it comes in. I'll just wait for a second. It should come in. And there it is. Oh, it's the wrong one. So here is the carrier rate agreement. For those of you that were on the webinars last couple of days, I showed you how to do a customer rate agreement. This is a broker carrier rate agreement. So that's the rate agreement there. If I open it up, I will see it would have your logo, not mine. Brokered from, brokered to, all the information, all the special requirements, and all the special notes, the pickup and delivery, and dates and times, and at the very bottom, the revenue and their signatures. Now, they could do that. Oh, go back to the. They could print that off and fill it out and scan it and send it back to you, but there's an electronic means way of doing it. They just click on this link. It opens up a screen where they would put in their name, Daffy Duck. They would sign it, Daffy Duck, put in their order number, their pro number. They may put in their driver's name if they want, and their driver's phone number, and the vehicle ID, and they could put the trailer ID, and ready to go. And let's say they put the phone number in. And click approve. What's going to happen, they'll get a copy of that signed rate agreement as well. It's going to come back into the order and be indexed to the order. So when I go and look at the, oh, that's the wrong one. If I go look at the documents now associated with that order, there's the broker rate agreement that just came in at 1446. And if I open it up, there's the rate agreement all the information that was available for them before, with all the pickup and all the notes and all the delivery and all the notes. And at the bottom, I will see Daffy Duck sign for it. There's a Daffy Duck, and there's the order, their order number, their driver name, the driver phone, etc. If I go back into the order now, into the manifest, and I actually click on here, I'll see the dispatch vehicle ID. There was no trailer provided, plus their tracking number, their order number, and the driver's phone number. So by them filling out the form online, it's automatically put that data into my system, so I know their order number, I know their truck number, and I know the driver's phone number. So I have that information available to me. Now we're coming up to the hour, so I'm going to open up in a few minutes. I've gone through a lot of stuff. I tried to do a deep dive into a lot of the features that are available here. There's a lot of features in this system. So I am going to open it up for questions now. Let me just... Okay, I've unmuted everybody.
Hello?